Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Carnivorous Grama Speaks. Tonight, I am super excited to have with me Chris and Ash from Chris Cooking Nashville. Hey, Chris and Ash.
Hello, Robin. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
We are so thankful that you are here. And I've been watching, of course, watching Chris's come up, I'm going to call it. And it's just so exciting. I really love what you're doing. So when I thought about it, I was like, I've got to get Chris and Ash on here. I love to talk to couples. I love to talk to individuals too, but I love to talk to couples, and especially since you guys are such a great team, the cook and the taste tester.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Camera lady.
I also will say I also do the dishes, just FYI. So professional dishwasher too, yeah.
So everybody has their roles. That's awesome. And so I would just love it if each of you could just take a moment and introduce yourself. We'll start with Ash.
Oh, with me. Thank you. Well, yeah, my name's Ash Taylor. And of course, I'm Chris's wife. And like you said, professional taste tester, dishwasher, camera woman. But when I'm not helping Chris kind of grow his YouTube channel, I basically am a country artist here in Nashville, Tennessee. So singer-songwriter. And, honestly, just I'm so happy to be here with you today, Robin. I appreciate you having us on the show. But yeah, I feel like keto and then carnivore has really just changed my life. And anytime we get the opportunity just to sit and share our stories and talk with people, it's just a joy. So I'm super happy to be here with y'all today.
Thanks, Ash.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ash is a very humble and wonderful woman. So she is very talented, and I cannot do what I do without her. So I have to say that before I dive into anything about me. So if anybody watches the YouTube carnivore space, they may have heard of me. I'm Chris from Chris Cooking Nashville. And when I'm not on YouTube throwing down crazy carnivore recipes that come from, I don't know, someplace out of left field in my brain, I guess, I am recipe experimenting in the kitchen off camera a lot of the time. And I pretty much cook everything that we eat. So I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, just even making the same things over and over. I am also a country artist and a musician, although I spend more of my time with those talents being Ash's lead guitar player and her band leader, and sort of operate as her manager as well. So we just have everything intertwined in the two things that we really like to do. So we're kind of just all in one together, the two of us, full-time YouTubers, recipe creators, carnivore and keto, passionate people, and country musicians that love to tour around and make people happy with music and good, healthy food.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are literally living the dream over there.
We're doing that.
Yeah.
Awesome. That is awesome. I know, Chris, recently I heard you saying on one of your videos that you were able to go full-time on YouTube, which is absolutely incredible. And
Yes.
I, for one, am super proud. Like I had anything to do with it. But it's so exciting that happened for you. I love it.
Yeah. There was a long period of time there. We've talked about this on my channel before, but there was a long period of time there where Ash and I really did struggle a lot because as musicians in 2020, when the world shut down, the entire entertainment industry disappeared for a while. And we both not only lost the music careers we had, but we also lost the jobs that we were in at the time. And we lost the house we lived in because it was sold out from underneath of us for, money for the pandemic. And so we ended up having to move, and we took on a bunch of debt. And it was just a really difficult time for people in the entertainment industry. And so I ended up getting a day job that was doing armed security for a private university. And it's not in the best area of Nashville, unfortunately. And at first it was all right, but as things have just kind of gone on with the world, it just started getting worse and worse. And I felt like it was a little bit of a dangerous situation. Just the logistics there. It was not someplace I really wanted to be. And in the midst of all of that, along with trying to regrow, her artist career, which we did from scratch after losing everything. So there was enough of a task in itself. But then on top of it, I decided to start a YouTube channel. And it was it was a lot of long hours and a lot of late nights. And at first, it wasn't really intended to be a job. It was just something I did to keep my own self, motivated and accountable. And I thought, well, maybe I'll inspire, a handful of people. And, if one person out there watches my videos and says this helps me be more keto or carnivore and it helps my health, then it would be worth whatever amount of work it took.
Mhm.
And in the midst of that, it just blew up to where now here we are as Chris Cooking Nashville. Is something I never expected. And when it turned into what it eventually became, she and I started talking about it, and it was like, we as musicians, you kind of always have multiple irons in the fire anyway. You have lots of different projects because
Yes.
it just takes a lot to be an entrepreneur, specifically being a musician as an entrepreneur. And so we started doing this really intensely focused approach to the YouTube channel because I was getting all these messages about people I was helping and people I was inspiring. And it's like, well, if I'm going to put my time and my effort into trying to make a living to, keep my family supported, especially while we're also doing musician stuff on the side at that point, it's like,
Mhm.
if I'm going to do it, I'd rather it be something that's really worthwhile and helping people and, makes us feel really fulfilled. And so we dove in and things started to grow. I was very blessed to have some other creators on YouTube that saw what I was doing and decided to jump in and help me out.
Mhm.
So, I'm sure we'll talk about more of that, but that really just grew things. And then we looked at each other and it was like, we're at a point where it's like, if we really dive into this, we think we can do this full time. And then that, of course, then frees everything up with me not being
Mhm.
tied to the day job schedule to where we were simultaneously able to start working on her artist stuff and like more so than we had been, because she had quit a day job as well and was trying to pursue being an artist. But it's a difficult thing to do that as a single, approach. Like you have to have
Yeah.
a partner in that. It's a
Mhm.
lot of stuff. And so when I was able to free up my time, we had the time for her to help me here and for me to be able to now go on the road with her. So we're doing good. We've got these things going full time. I just crossed
Mhm.
100,000 subscribers
Ooh.
day before yesterday, and she is doing her
Day before
first.
yesterday. Oh my god.
Yeah, day
Yeah.
before yesterday
That
we
is
crossed over.
amazing.
Yep, we crossed over 100K, and this next
Wow.
week we are.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then this next week, we're kicking off her first headlining tour as an artist. And so the YouTube and musician thing is in full swing for both of us. So
Wow. That
it's
is
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah.
That is absolutely incredible. Wow. You guys have a lot going on. I wondered about like as a content creator. Yeah, somebody's saying this, and this right here is absolutely incredible. Congratulations very
Yes.
much. You absolutely deserve it. But what I wonder about is as a content creator, the pressure of having to come up with something new and great and different.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? What is your process for coming up with something new? Like, because the people, I'm a YouTube content creator. I don't have
Uh,
nearly that as many people as you, but the people be expecting those things. They're like, where is my this or that?
yeah. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
that's a really interesting question. And that's a great question. I've never been asked before, and I love that. So along with the YouTube stuff and the musician stuff with Ash that I do, I also am a guitar teacher and really sort of like a music business mentor, I guess I would say,
Yeah.
because it goes way beyond just guitar lessons with my students. But one of my students is actually starting a YouTube channel as a songwriter, and he and I were sitting and we were talking about this, and he was like, well, what am I going to do when I run out of content, when I run out of ideas? Because he hasn't uploaded anything yet. We're just talking about here's the plan, and we're going to do this intentionally. And he's like, well,
Mhm.
what do I do when I run out of ideas? And so I looked at him and I said, well, what do you do when you've written all of the song ideas you have? And he said, I really like to go out. He's like, I don't really know if I've come across that yet, but if I did, he said, I love going and sitting like by the lake, or I love being out in nature, or I love doing these various things. And he listed off several things that bring him inspiration, which is where his best song ideas tend to come from. And I said, so if you get to the end of your list of ideas, you need to go put yourself in a place where you can
Mhm.
cultivate new ideas. And so as a content creator for what I do specifically, I'm always looking for new inspiration. And this comes from a lot of places outside of the keto and carnivore world. I mean, don't get me wrong, I watch plenty of stuff from the keto and carnivore world. And, I love like Dr. Barry's videos for the health information. And I love Nisha for some of her lifestyle vlogging type stuff where she's real and honest about being a family and doing this. I love Kelly Hogan talks
Mhm.
about these kinds of things as well. I love the doctors like Dr. Chafee and Dr. Baker and
Yeah.
Dr. Kiltz and like all of these people. So I get lots of
Mhm.
inspiration from that. I watch other recipe creators in the keto and carnivore space as well. And sometimes I watch the recipes and I go, dang, that was a great idea. And then sometimes I watch the recipes and I go, oh, this was so close to what I would have done, but you missed this thing, which stands out to me. And honestly,
Mm.
this is the same thing songwriters do. We listen to another person's song and it's like, okay, well, that may be a really cool song for what it is, but I hear this thing where you said this or you did that. And that sparks a completely different idea where I go, you totally missed this whole thing that could have been done with it, and really not missed, but you took it a different direction. But
Mhm.
I can take this thing that to you was maybe just a line, but to me it's a whole concept. And so you find these offshoots and these different branches of things. And so I do that with other recipe creators where I see what they did and I go, okay, this thing that you kind of just used in the way everyone else does, watching you do it, it then gives me an idea to do this thing with it totally differently. I also spend a lot of time on YouTube watching not keto and carnivore recipes. I watch chefs. I've had so many people in my comment section that have asked me, "Are you a trained chef?" And it's um, it's very humbling for people to say that because I feel like I am just a really experienced home chef, just really well researched and not nearly capable of the things that professional chefs are truly able to do with food. But
I'm gonna
I
laugh out loud, Chris, 'cause I don't see nobody out here doing the stuff that you're doing.
well,
These
I
famous
appreciate
chefs are doing regular stuff.
yeah.
You're doing the magic.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing. Like I study what other chefs are doing, and I've always done that. I mean, some of my earliest food memories are sitting on the counter as a little kid while my mom cooked and her teaching me things. And then in high school, I used to do this thing. My parents would like use lean back pillows and sit on their bed and watch Food Network, and I would lay across the foot of their bed with them, and we'd watch Food Network and we'd talk about
Mhm.
recipes. And I got this love of being a foodie from my parents. And so I've studied like how to do this kind of stuff and watched professional chefs my whole life. And I love doing it. And I love cooking for people. That's how I say I love you to people is I cook for them. It's a big deal in my family. We do that. We cook for people that we care about. So I took that concept and I started saying, well, how do I apply this to other things for like keto and carnivore? And so I'm always watching, standard American diet chefs, professional chefs. I love
Mhm.
studying like molecular gastronomy and how they do different things and understanding the chemical and the physical reactions of different ingredients when put together. And, why would you boil something versus simmering something versus putting it in an oven? Like understanding why. And when you understand all of that,
Mhm.
you then apply those same concepts to a list of approved carnivore or keto ingredients, depending on what your goal is for a recipe. And then I start thinking, well, how do I go outside the box of what everybody else has done? How do I say, here's what everyone else has done. Now let's do something completely off the wall, like put bologna in a blender and make refried beans for a carnivore diet out of it, right? Like really just things that everyone else goes, why would you do that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And it's like, and then I do it, and it's like, huh, that actually worked. Sometimes it's a little
Mhm.
bit of just divine inspiration from the good Lord giving me some ideas, and then it's a lot of applying some elbow grease and some knowledge of cooking and the sort of studying of culinary world and just trying to figure out how to put that all together. And if I do run out of ideas, I go back and I look at what I've done before and I say, what did I do right? What needs to be better? And how
Mhm.
do I take some different approaches to trying to redo the same thing And in the process of that, I usually get two things out of that. One, I get an updated 2.0 version of a recipe, which is easier, it's better, it's faster,
Mhm.
it's somehow improved, which is why I sometimes release 2.0 recipes, because I think that if they're really good enough of an improvement that people would be interested in, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and release that because that makes this more approachable, which is the whole goal for people. And usually, when I do something different that makes it easier, I learn more about those ingredients and what I'm really capable of making them do. And then that usually sparks well, now if I did this, what does this now become? In fact, we just had this experience yesterday, and I can't say too often much about it because I haven't filmed the video yet. But I had this really odd thing happen because I had some of my newest carnivore pasta noodles, the spaghetti that I came up with, it's piped into the
Mhm.
hot water. I had some of that when it came out of the piping bag, I'd cut the hole a little bit too big, and I was trying to make like an angel hair style pasta. And so the hole was a little too big. So I had several noodles that were great big and, just fat, even bigger than spaghetti noodles. And I was like, well, I'm not going to mix this into the rest of it. I'm just going to put this in a new piping bag. But I was like, what do I do with these? And so I dehydrated them all the way down. And then I started playing around with it. And carnivore snack style foods are definitely right
Oh.
around the corner
Oh
because
my
they're really good. And there's going to
Oh
be
my
several
God.
different varieties. And I think I'm going to be able to make these. And I think they'll actually probably be shelf stable. So
Oh
we'd
my
be able to
God.
like make snacks for the kids, make snacks for ourselves for road trips that are basically just pure protein, and have some really cool things that for at least a couple of days don't need refrigeration or any of that kind of stuff for like a road trip situation. I'm like,
Mhm.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's companies out there that make this kind of stuff. I make my
But
own beef
they taste
jerky.
terrible though.
But they do a
Yes.
lot of
Literally taste
times.
terrible.
They do, and I mean, because of what you have to do to things like that to make it shelf stable long enough to
Mhm.
last like 6 months on a shelf, like that
Yep.
ruins things like that. And we make our own beef jerky for road trips because it's so expensive to take, like massive amounts of the truly clean beef jerky sticks that are out there. It's
Mhm.
expensive as much
Yeah.
as I eat as a big dude, especially like that's expensive. I can make it for like a quarter of the price and it's super easy to
Mhm.
do. So I love doing that. And now
Yeah.
I'm like, now I'm going to have these bags of carnivore approved snacks for the
Oh my
road,
God.
especially with us being on tour here. That's going to be a big deal. So everybody keep an eye out because I've got some fun
Oh,
videos
I
coming in the
cannot
next few
wait.
weeks.
I
It's
cannot
going to be
wait. I want to just ask Ash.
good.
So, I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of experimentation going on in your
Yes.
house then with all these different combinations and permutations and different ingredients and etc.
Yes.
Do you ever like not like something that Chris made for you?
Thank you for asking that question. The answer is yes, I do. I will say, like, so Chris is an incredible cook. And I don't know if many people know this, but Chris actually, before he found carnivore and we started doing keto, we actually during the pandemic to pay our bills, Chris actually owned a micro bakery and made like artisan sourdough breads. And so, I mean, the man is just an incredible cook, and I'm so grateful because I don't cook at all. So let's say that, which is why I always do the dishes and try to help. But when it comes to keto and carnivore things, I have a thing where I am so against things that taste like, for example, egg life wraps. Some people love them. I am not. To me, Chris has bought those for me before, just so I could try them. To me, that doesn't taste like a tortilla or a pasta
Mhm.
noodle. It tastes like eggs. And
Yep.
I just have a thing where I hate the taste of eggs. I have not been a fan since I was a kid. And especially
Mm.
something pretending to be something else that tastes like an egg, I'm completely against.
Mhm.
And so, Chris, Chris works so hard, and I don't think people think about the hours that he puts in behind the scenes of experimenting. Like, if we're not filming in our kitchen, it is a science experiment. I mean, that he's in there experimenting, he's always trying to improve, and he wants things to be the best that they can be. And so I try to support him in that it has his wife. So if I taste something and he's experimenting, I straight up tell him. Yesterday, the experiment he just told you about, I said, hey, I think that these are too crunchy. I think these need to be this way. So yeah, there are definitely times where I taste something and it's like, not even that it's bad, but maybe like, hey, I don't think you quite nailed the texture of tortillas or of pasta,
Mhm.
or maybe it needs to be this way. And he is very kind and very gracious. And
Yeah.
he's like, okay, thanks for the feedback. And he goes back to square one,
Yeah.
because I feel like I would be doing him and everybody, making his recipes a disservice.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny because we've had people say, oh, you're his wife, of course you have to like it. And I'm like, no, that's not true.
No, a really good example of that would be yesterday. When I was doing that experiment, I also took some of those dried spaghetti noodles I had and I tried boiling them because I've had the question, can you dehydrate this and then have like shelf stable pasta and then we can
Mhm.
boil it like real pasta? And I've told people I don't think so, because this would be the same kind of thing as trying to boil beef jerky and get a steak back out of it. And, protein, once it is cooked and dried out, does not absorb moisture in the same way starches do. So even though that works for a pasta, that's probably not going to work for a protein the way that I'm making this pasta out of. But that being said, I had never actually tried it. And so just to make sure, and this is another thing, even if I know something won't work, if someone asks me a question, or multiple people especially ask me that question, and I have the opportunity to test it to confirm, I will, because I want to make sure there is integrity in every answer that I give people. And I had a bunch of people ask, so I tested it and I boiled it. I mean, I boiled the heck out of it trying to get it soft again. And I did get it back to a rubbery consistency, but
Oh.
I was like, yeah, that doesn't really work. And I was
Mhm.
like, here, you want to try this and see what you think? And she was like,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it was an immediate reaction. And also, I mean,
Mhm.
we're entrepreneurs and this is my full-time job now. And it's like the short-sightedness of her faking a reaction to
Right.
something or saying she likes something she doesn't, and then people saying, oh, I absolutely hate this. I mean, that would be it would work for like a month.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
once I had 3 or 4 recipes in a row come out that
Right.
everybody hated and she said were great, immediately would kill the reputation of what I do. And so
Mhm.
she,
Yep.
she is I will say, I'm very blessed to have a woman who is so kind and simultaneously honest with me about these things, because
Yeah.
I need her to be.
Well, and same way, honestly. You know what I mean? It's like we're married, we're best friends, even musically. I mean, everything is conjoined. And
Mhm.
it's like, if I write a song that's brand new and I play it for Chris, I would hope to God he'd say, oh, don't play that one. You know what I mean? Like and I think we're always working together, but also working to help push each other and to grow. And I think that's just what it is. But yeah, I've actually spit out a couple of different things and just been like, nope, that tastes like an egg. Keep going. Uh, and it's never meant like in a harsh
Mhm.
or cruel way, like, hey, I think you got a good start, but let's just keep seeing what we're doing. But
Yeah.
and I think to compliment Chris on that, though, like I said, he just works so hard, though. And when he puts out a recipe, like when we film, like whatever he makes, whatever you see on that camera, that's what we eat for dinner.
That's dinner.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's dinner. So I mean, we truly eat everything that you see him make, and that I don't just shut the camera off and throw it in the trash or give it to the dog. I mean, it's
Right.
legitimately, and I honestly request recipes a lot too,
Mhm.
where I'm like, hey, can I get some carnivore pancakes, Saturday morning or whatever? Because I really enjoy them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that brings me to my next question, which is, what is Chris's dish, the favorite dish that he's created that you just love, Ash?
This is such a tough question. This is really, really hard. Um, it's I don't know if I can pick one. He literally asked me this a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I need to think about that. But I really think the one that I think is incredible is actually his carnivore pizza crust. I mean,
Mm.
seriously, I have tried many different pizza crusts that were low carb before. I think the pizza crust is probably one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Also, the carnivore pancakes, they are the best pancakes. I mean, the best. It doesn't matter keto, doesn't matter carnivore, just pancakes
Mhm.
ever. I would rather eat Chris's carnivore pancakes than go to Cracker Barrel and eat the pancakes that they serve there. So I'd say his pancakes are definitely one for me. And the mashed potatoes. At first, I will be honest, when I saw how he made the potatoes, I was like, especially that was like his first big viral recipe. And I remember
You also weren't here when I filmed
no,
that.
I wasn't. I was not here. Your mom was here.
You were playing a show. My parents were in town helping me. It was the first time they were involved, and it was you not being here for the taste test. So you didn't know about that till after the fact.
Yeah, but he told me like what he did, and he served them to me. And it's like I literally took a bite, and I was like, how do these taste like real mashed potatoes? But I love that recipe for many reasons, but I think that is just ingenious. I also love hearing people's stories with that recipe in particular, where it's like, oh, you've brought comfort food back in my home, or, I give these to my kids. I give these to my elderly father, and, he won't eat anything, but he thinks they're real potatoes, or he likes them better than. And just seeing how that recipe blew up and how it really just changed, I think, our lives, honestly. I mean, that was really the first big one. So yeah, I prefer carnivore mashed potatoes over real potatoes for sentimental reasons and for the taste as well.
Yeah.
Those carnivore mashed potatoes are absolutely incredible. And what I have a question about that, but what I want to say about those mashed potatoes, and I'm not even using the 2.0 recipe yet.
Yeah.
But I'm planning to.
For sure.
They are so good. I mean, I made those, and it's kind of one of those make you want to shed a little tear moments because it tasted so good.
Yeah.
It tasted exactly more like mashed potatoes than like, I find potatoes to be very, very starchy.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't had them in 18 months now, but
sure.
But they're super starchy. And they give you a weird texture. Like if you let mashed potatoes sit and get cold, they get this kind of weird texture. These mashed potatoes taste better than regular mashed potatoes in my mind. They don't have that weird kind of consistency if you make them right. They don't have that weird consistency. They don't have that starch, which is just I don't prefer the starchy taste of mashed potatoes.
Sure.
So, but those are really, really good. That's like the first recipe that I found of yours that I tried. But I want to ask you about the toasted gelatin.
Yeah.
Because who does that? How did you come up with the idea to toast the gelatin? Because that was like, what? I mean, who did that?
Yeah. So what's really funny. So the first thing that happened is I was trying to figure out, is there a way to get something that would be kind of like sesame oil that would not be sesame? Because if you don't want seeds, and there's some debate out there as to whether sesame oil is good or bad, because as the seed-based oils go, that one you can kind of actually press out of the seed instead of have to industrially chemically remove from the seed. So, for some people on keto, I know sesame oil is not a big deal. Yeah. I was trying to avoid any plant oils whatsoever at the time, and I thought, I wonder if there was a way to get this like sesame oil flavor so that I could do like an Asian inspired carnivore dish and have that kind of thing. And so the first thing I did was I was trying to figure out, well, what would you even put into something, say like lard or beef tallow or whatever, to give it a similar flavor? And so gelatin, if you get beef gelatin, all it is the collagen that has been cooked out of the connective tissues and the skin and the bones and these other things of whatever animal it comes from. That's why I buy beef gelatin, because I just prefer the way it works over the standard, pork gelatin is what you usually get in grocery stores. And, there's some people that don't eat pork for religious reasons. And so they would ask me about that. And so I thought, I'm just going to start using beef gelatin. And I found that I just enjoyed it better. So, so I had a bunch of it on hand. And I was like, well, if you're going to add something in here, gelatin has kind of a grain or starch type flavor if you just put it on your tongue by itself. And this is another thing as a chef, you have to taste everything, especially if you want to create a recipe. But even if you're just cooking for other people, taste, because if you're guessing or you're blindly following a recipe, it's going to bite you in the butt eventually. Like it may not happen today, but it's going to happen eventually. It's happened to me where you just trust it a little too much and then you go to serve it and it's like, oh, that's not good. Thankfully, I've always tasted before I actually serve it to someone else. I taste it myself and I go, I screwed that up. Now I got to figure out how to fix it. So I always taste my ingredients. If it's not raw, it's not something that you can't eat without cooking. I taste it in its purest form. So I did that with gelatin, and I was like, it has kind of a grain-like flavor. It has that earthy flavor. And so I thought, well, is there a way that I could modify that flavor in sort of either a chemical or a physical way that would give me more of that toasted sesame seed vibe? And so that's where the idea of getting it toasted came from. But originally I thought, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it into hot oil, and I'm actually going to cook gelatin in hot oil and just see what happens to it and see if I can impart the flavor into the oil. So that led to a couple of different discoveries for me. One being that if you brown gelatin, you can get sort of a crispy browned flavor from it, which is why
Mm.
many of my bread and type products like that include gelatin, because it gives you the browning and a certain flavor amongst some of the other ingredients that I use. So then I thought, well, if I can toast it with oil and it kind of all clumps together and turns into this fried, almost crackery texture, what happens if I toast it dry the same way I would toast like nuts that I was going to put on top of a dessert or something back in my standard American diet days, because that gives
Mhm.
you this roasted, nice flavor. And I thought, well, maybe that's something different. The sesame oil thing's not working, but let me try this. And so this is where, one thing leads to another and you get your
Mhm.
inspiration. So I tried toasting it dry and I got it to go kind of a golden yellow, starting to get light brown color. And it smelled like the backside of a donkey. And I was like,
Yeah, it
this
does
this
not
is
smell
not this is not going to be good. And I was like, but for the integrity of what I do, I need to taste it. And I tasted it, and I was like, it tastes like the backside of a donkey. It's not good. It's not in any way something I want to eat. But then I got thinking about this because I'd had this idea of using egg whites blended up to make mashed potatoes kind of hit me. And I got thinking about the flavor that I was getting out of this toasted gelatin, which was so nasty. And I thought, well, if I only use a little bit of this, it's going to blend in as an undernote of all of these other flavors. And I said, I thought to myself, if you think about a potato, what a
Mhm.
potato really tastes like, if you don't add anything else to it, is water and dirt.
Yep.
And it really does. They do not have a good
Mhm.
flavor by themselves, which is why
No.
we add cream and butter and toppings, and we bake them and fill them with sour cream and bacon. And it's like
Right.
potatoes are a survival food when there's nothing else available. And they're not obviously good for us, but they will keep you from starving to death, as Dr. Barry always says. And it's
Right.
like we've added all these other things to them, or we cook them in butter, or we fry them, or we do all these things to them to change the fact that by themselves, especially raw, they just kind of taste like dirt. And so I was like, well, if I take this, what's not really a great flavor of toasted gelatin, but I blended it in with all these things that are good, I bet anything it would give you that earthy undertone that a potato has. And so
Mm.
a lot of the potato sort of vibe that you get from that is from that toasted gelatin. And although you don't taste the toasted gelatin in there, the way
Right.
your palate works, especially in the presence of fat, different flavonoids in things hit your palate and they get experienced in a different way based on the additional ingredients that are with it. And so I took that toasted gelatin, not very good flavor, and combined that with these other things to sort of flatten it out and smooth it out and create it as an undertone. It's like mixing paint colors. You have to figure out like, here's my main color, but if I add just a little bit of black, it's going to soften and darken all of the tones that are already there. And so that's kind of how I
Wow.
think about those different layers of
Wow.
ingredients. And that's where that all came from.
That is absolutely incredible. How long did it take you to go from frying this stuff up in grease
Hmm.
to carnivore mashed potatoes?
Funny enough, and this is not the case with most of my recipes, that one was a day and a half.
What? That's
It was a day and a
crazy.
half. I tested the recipe with I tested the frying the gelatin in the grease and was like, nope, that doesn't work. Let me try it, with the dry technique and see if that gives me something I can work with. So I tried that and it tasted terrible, but then I had the idea. And then the next day, I ran out of time in the kitchen that day. I think, I don't know, we had work, we had something we had to do. And so I ran out of time in the kitchen. The next day, I had guitar lessons. And before my guitar students got there, I said, I'm going to try this. And I had a carton of egg whites that I had gotten specifically for this purpose. And I fried it all up. And as I was frying up the egg whites, and this is think as you go, right? You kind of learn on the fly. And this is why I do my Tuesday night live streams where I show people how to cook on the fly. And I don't use specific recipes. Like I want to train people to figure out how to problem solve as you cook, because that's what makes you feel confident in the kitchen, is the ability to do that. So that's what I was doing. And I'm frying up these egg whites. And I was like, well, it's going to need a bunch of butter. And I'm going to put a lot of butter in it anyway. So I'm just going to fry the egg whites with a lot of butter. I didn't have a very good nonstick skillet at the time. Thought the butter will help it not stick so bad, because egg whites stick and they burn, and it was a whole thing. So I fried that all up, but it smelled so much like eggs. And I was like, I can smell all those sulfur compounds in those egg whites. And I know my wife is going to spit this out if it tastes like egg whites. So I was like, maybe if I cook them longer, and I kept cooking and cooking and cooking. And it took me a lot longer than I thought it would. But I got all of the moisture cooked out. And I was like, I'm just going to cook them until they don't smell like eggs anymore. And so I did. And that's what created that, cook the egg whites super dry. And then I threw them into a blender, because it was the only tool I had at the time to do anything like this. I had an old food processor that would have never done it. I had a hand processor that just no way it was going to do it. So the blender was all I had. So I threw it in there. I added in cream and some salt and some white pepper and garlic powder, because that's kind of how I like to season up, regular mashed potatoes when I used to make them. Blended it all together. And then I realized, like, okay, I'm going to have to use a balance of moisture, more cream, figure it out. And then when I got it to where they would pull down into the blades, that's when I used the toasted gelatin, because I wanted to put it in there as a last thing to try to keep that flavor as distinct without being overpowering as possible. And I blended that in, and I took the lid off of the blender, and I looked down in there. It was a little liquidy, because I'd gone a little too heavy on the cream. So I warned people to be careful. And so I put in some egg white powder to thicken it back down. And I decided to let's go for it. And I was like, I don't know if it needs any more salt or not. So I stuck a spoon down it, and I took a bite of it, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And it was the coolest moment in creating these like carnivore recipes that I think I've ever had, where I was like, I nailed this sucker on the first try. And I immediately got out my phone, and I, did this and wrote down every single thing I did, the measurements and the whole thing. And the second time that I made it, because she was not here, she was still working a day job. So she was gone. And the second time that I made that recipe was when I filmed it with my parents.
Yes.
So
that was that I'm going to say, I mean, that's like one of the absolute best recipes that anyone has created out here. It's like, I tried the cauliflower mashed potatoes and all the things when I was on keto. And I just figured that, my life with mashed potato-like substances would be over because now I'm on carnivore. But this recipe, if you guys have not tried this, and you can tolerate egg whites, of course, you definitely need to try the carnivore mashed potatoes, because they taste so good. They taste so much like mashed potatoes. They taste better than mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you.
So
I love that recipe.
Yeah, that's a really, really good one. So I just want to say to Ash, like, when I watch you taste Chris's food, I can see, because I'm a food lover myself.
Yeah.
I like to eat. I said, this one is a woman after my own heart, because I can see she likes to eat too.
Right. Yeah.
I can tell that the food is good, And so whenever I see you saying, babe, I think this is the best thing you've ever made. Which you say a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's got to be so good. I can't wait to try it. So the most recent one that I saw was the cottage pie that you made.
Yeah.
And I think we did the 2.0 of the mashed potatoes on that. It looked so incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. When I was cooking the mashed potatoes for the first time, I kept watching your video over and over again to see, well, what did he
Hmm.
say? What did he say? Okay, keep cooking it. Keep cooking it. Every time I
Yeah.
would check and there's a little bit of liquid left. Nope, just keep cooking
Mhm.
it. And my mom absolutely loves them. My
Mm.
husband loves them. They're so good. So thank you for that recipe. And I'm
Oh,
sure that many of us thank you for that absolutely amazing recipe.
oh, you're very kind.
Yes. So there's a bunch of people saying hi in the chat. Plus, we have a couple of questions. So I'm just going to kind of
Sure.
run through a few of these and shout these folks out. So
Yeah.
Paul Beater is here. Hey, Paul Beater.
Good to see you, sir.
Um, we have a question from him about their chuck roast recipe. Would it
Yeah.
work for a beef shank?
For beef shank. Yeah, I think so. The thing that makes chuck roast work so well for that particular thing is the fat ratio. But the nice thing about a slow cooker is you don't have to really worry about it like overcooking and drying everything out. So if you want your beef shank to be like a well done kind of a thing and you want it to pull apart and shred, that should be
Mm,
no problem. Just make sure you have enough fat content in there so that the meat doesn't feel too stringy and dry. So
yeah.
you could easily do something like that. In fact, if you were concerned about the beef shank not having quite as much intermuscular fat, you could take some bacon slices and you could wrap the bacon slices over the beef shank, stick it in the slow cooker,
Mm.
do the exact same thing, and then when it's all done, pull those bacon slices out, chop them up, fry them, throw them back in. Man, that would be amazing.
That sounds incredible. Oh my gosh. I cooked a beef shank for the first time last Thanksgiving, I think it
Mm,
was. And it just was, it was, yeah, as you said, it was stringy, it was dry,
mm.
it didn't have enough fat. So I was like, it's okay, but I wasn't too thrilled with it because I didn't cook it right.
Yeah,
And
well,
I think I braised it.
yeah, things like beef shank, they take a little bit of extra care. Anytime you have any kind of a leaner meat, which down there the shank is going to have it's more of a working muscle.
Yes.
And I mean the chuck is a working muscle too, but because it's higher up and it's closer to the center of the cow, it does have a little bit more intermuscular fat. So when you get those leaner
Mhm.
cuts, they just take a little bit more just careful attention just so you don't get them. There's a threshold where it's good, it's going to fall apart, it's tender, it's tasty, and then you go just a little too much, and those proteins they all seize up and they start
Yep.
pressing out that little bit of fat they do have. So it's just finding that balance. Just takes a little practice.
I think that's what I did is I cooked it too long and it just was
Hmm.
I was very sad because it wasn't cheap.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was expensive and it just wasn't that good. So I
Hmm.
have to try it again and use
Yeah,
your technique with the bacon. That sounds absolutely
yeah.
incredible.
There you go.
So 22 Q Cat is here. Hi,
Yes,
22 Q Cat. And we're happy that you are here. 22 Q Cat also says hi to Ash.
yes,
Hi.
Richard
yes.
Williams is here from Copper Hill, Tennessee. The firewood is stacked.
Yep, there we go. I'm glad to hear you got it done. Good to hear you. See you here, neighbor.
Diana Cruz is here from Fredericksburg, Texas.
Hi.
Hey, Diana, thank you for
Hello,
being here.
Diana.
Evelyn is here,
Hi,
and
Evelyn.
Kaylee is here.
Hi, Kaylee.
Karen Harrington is here.
Hello, Karen.
Everybody's saying congratulations on your 100K, and
Yeah.
absolutely, that is so fantastic. You very much, very, very much deserve every good thing because
Oh,
you're making life for a lot of us absolutely incredible with these recipes. Things that like pancakes. I was like, pancakes are done. Like,
hmm.
I just am not going to eat any more cream cheese and egg pancakes anymore. They're just
Yeah.
not good. And then a couple of people have put out recipes for pancakes that have just been, they take too long to cook, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
appreciate, the recipes that you do. And I also appreciate the fact that you give such detailed instructions
Yeah.
in your videos for how to make the recipes as well.
Absolutely.
So Michael Callahan wants to know, would love Chris to develop the fish portion of a traditional English fish and chips, please. That would be
Um,
great.
So I have a whiteboard that's on the wall over here that's next to my computer monitor that has all of my recipe ideas, and figuring out battered fish is on there. So stick around.
Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I know you're going to come up with it because that's gonna be a good one. My husband's going to love that one.
That's
So
right.
Yeah.
it may never go back. Like, and those kinds of batters can be used for chicken and whatever else you want to bread, fried shrimp. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm
That's
looking
right.
forward to that one. That's going to be good.
Mhm.
Jiffy is here, and thank you for being here, Jiffy. We're so happy that you're here, able to catch the live as well. And Alto Eager is here. Let's see. Janelle is here. It's okay, Janelle. We're just happy that you have arrived.
That's right.
And
That's
then
right.
Dr. Nelson is here. So Dr. Nelson says, I'm a trained chef, trained by Chef Jean-Pierre on YouTube.
Yes, Chef Jean-Pierre loves his butter. That's a good place to get some good training from. I like his videos a lot.
Yes, 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 yes. I love to cook too. I'm nowhere near the kitchen magician that you are, but I do love to cook. Before Carnivore, I went to the library and I would get a ton of books on different cuisines and cook all different kinds of cuisines.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, my family was like, "You're ruining our lives. We want food," but I love to cook and make various recipes, and I like to tweak them and make them my own.
Yeah.
I was very excited when I found your channel and saw the kind of work that you're doing, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And then, so I popped this up earlier, but Pop Eater says udon noodles for those thick noodles. That sounds good. I haven't had udon. I have not had udon in a long, long time. That sounds amazing. And then turn it into Cheetos.
You might want to watch the channel over the next month.
Yay! I cannot wait. I was just with my husband last night. We were coming back from a church event in another city, and we stopped at the gas station, and he picked up these protein puff. And I think there's a few, people who are doing those, a few different kinds of those.
Sure.
And they smelled really good. They smelled like Cheetos, but he said they tasted like trash.
Yeah.
So like that's what I found when I was keto, and I used to eat some of those processed snacks. That they all just they smell like they might be kind of like a Cheeto, but they do not at all taste like a Cheeto. They taste terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the protein powder that's in them or the stabilization, as you were saying, to make them shelf stable, but yuck, not good.
Yeah, I understand.
So I'm looking forward to those. And Janelle says, yes, road trip snacks.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm excited about that because I always do the purse bacon, but it'd be nice to have some other little snacks to carry as well.
Yeah.
Debbie also is congratulating you on 100,000. And so that's
Debbie.
awesome. And Renee is here. Hey, Renee. Oh my gosh, there's so many people here. Southern Keto is here. So
there's Victor.
Victor. Okay. Hey, Victor. Hi. So glad that you were able to join us, and congratulations proper on that 100,000.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And let's see who else. Just Susie's Thoughts is here. Hey, Just Susie. And let's see what this one says. I did a wife taste test of the potatoes. She picked the carnivore one over her favorite ones. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I think they taste so much better than potatoes because of that starchy, ucky consistency that you can get from potato. And you just don't get that with this recipe.
Yeah.
S. Bradley is here. S. Bradley,
Hello,
510. Hello. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. And then Renee says, there's no way Chris knows what the backside of a donkey smells or tastes like.
Well, so I did grow up in farm country, so I may not know what it tastes like, but I do know what it smells like because I grew up in a town of 800 people. So,
oh my gosh, small town. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So S. Bradley says, I guess I was a weirdo talking about potatoes. I could eat one plain.
Yeah. Some people they really do enjoy that flavor. And I think there's different things about different people's palates, and this I think this is maybe one of the things too, is sometimes people try my recipes and they don't like them, and that's totally okay. If you made the recipe right and you don't
Yeah,
like it.
right.
I will go back to people on their comments and say, I think you messed it up if the way they're describing it is not anything like the recipe is supposed to be. I'm
Mhm.
also more than happy to help everyone diagnose their recipes. I mean, I spend hours a week
Yes.
helping people diagnose, like, why didn't the bread rise, or why are my noodles too spongy, or any of that. I do the best I can to keep up with every comment on my channel. And if someone's struggling with the recipe, I encourage them always reach out to me and ask
Yeah,
me if I can help. Maybe you just don't like the recipe, and that's totally okay because we all have different tastes. But if you don't like the recipe, let it be because you have a different taste than me. Don't let it be because the
right,
recipe wasn't done properly. So, because
right,
it
right, right.
it takes some practice to do this. I mean,
It
we're
does.
doing weird things with ingredients that no one has ever done before with a lot of this
Mhm.
stuff, and I'm learning as I go just as much as everyone else.
Absolutely. Now, Chris, I just wanted, as you were talking about this, I thought about there's one video you had that's the only one I saw where you were like blasting somebody for being rude. I
Yes.
love that for you.
Yes.
I loved it.
Yes.
I was like, you tell him, Chris,
Yeah. I
don't come in here messing with us.
I listen, I want to be as loving and kind and professional with everyone that I possibly can be. And even people that disagree with what we do, that's totally
Mhm.
fine. We are all different people. We all
Yeah.
have different opinions. But I will tell you, as someone who used to be 400 pounds and who was extremely depressed and had anxiety and irritability, and I was completely apathetic to life. And I mean, truthfully, I was headed down a path that probably would have ended up in things like suicidal ideation.
Mhm.
And I mean, I hated what I saw when I looked in the mirror. I was desperate and I was searching for some kind of a solution. And I didn't, all I knew it was that I was blaming myself for the fact that I was fat and I was sick and I was addicted to things and I thought I was worthless. And now I know I had so much brain fog, I couldn't even see clearly the difference between what I was responsible for and what I wasn't. And I was in pain. I mean, I was a mess. I was an absolute mess. And so when people come in the comment section, if they disagree, that's fine. I'm fine with that. But if they come in the comment section and their whole intent is to tear down what I do or call us fat or any of these kinds of things, it's not so much that I care about what they're saying to me, but I can tell you, as someone who used to be in a really bad place, if I saw somebody doing that and then the YouTube creator didn't respond and
Mhm.
didn't tell them to knock it off, I would think the YouTube creator is a lie. It's a farce. It's a big fake thing they're doing for money. And this person is actually right. Now I don't know if this whole keto carnivore thing would work or not.
Right.
And it's like there is a point where I feel like at some point in time, someone has to put their foot down. And you have to stand up for people who aren't not at a place where they can stand for themselves yet. They
Right.
will be there and they will get the clarity of mind and they will have the self confidence to do it, but they are not always there yet. And I used to be that person and I used to let people kick me around and talk about how I was worthless and whatever. And I believed it. And
Mhm.
now I know that's not the case. And so
Right.
every now and then, someone decides to come in the comments section and they try to tear down what I do on the channel, or they try to tear down us for the fact we still have extra weight to lose, or they try to talk about how stupid this is and anyone who wants a recipe like this doesn't deserve good health and whatever. And those people, I'm more than happy to stand up to, because at some point in time, justice requires someone to be the bad guy in the moment. And if that has to be me, I'll take that on, because I know there's
Yep.
a whole bunch of people standing behind me that are not ready to defend themselves because they're not at that place. And if that means people have to be angry at me, fine. Let them be angry at me, because there's a whole bunch of people out there that means a whole lot to. And I used to be one of those people, and I didn't have a good resource of somebody doing that. And now that I'm on
Right.
the other side of it, it's like what I do when I handle people like that in my comment section is what I wish someone would have done for me. So I'm being the change that I want to see, because I also
Mhm.
know how hard YouTubers work to do all of this. You know how hard this is to do this. And I understand that you can't focus on all the negative stuff every single day,
Right.
but I also think it's very difficult to ignore it constantly. And in fact, Amanda from Carnivorous Me is a good example of this, where a
Yes,
YouTuber is
absolutely.
being bullied, and
Hmm.
people do not understand. Like, it doesn't matter how confident you are in yourself, that can be very difficult to just hear that day in and day out, because even if you know it's not true, it's hard to hear that. I emailed a friend of ours who sent us a wonderful gift that people will be seeing in our Tuesday night live. Um, this lady that watches my channel, very sweet lady, Donna, does woodwork, and she made these amazing signs for us and wanted to say thank you. And she sent these to us.
Oh,
And I emailed her back, and she had sent me this long email thanking us for the work that we do. And she apologized for the long email. And I said, Donna, please don't apologize, because you need to understand that for us, this takes so much time and effort and energy. And I mean, we get flack for it. It's like, that's what it is to be a YouTuber. That's what it is to be a personality that people know. The same thing as a musician. Like, some people
right.
love what you do, and some people don't. And the people who don't, every now and then, a small minority of them can be very loud, and they can be very hateful. And that's, and we're human beings just like everybody else. And it's like, I'm not
Right.
immune to people who say that I'm fat, and they say that I'm stupid, and they say that this is dumb, and they say, like, I've the number of times I've been called fat, or told that it's good that I'll be dead in 5 years from a heart attack,
Wow.
or any of these things. Like, there's people on the internet that wish for you to die because they disagree with what you do, and it's really
Oh,
sad.
it is.
But
Yeah.
that's the reality of being a
Hmm.
YouTuber, and I accept that. That's fine, but I don't accept the idea that that should be just an okay thing for people to do, more than anything because there are other people watching who are waiting to see how I respond. And it's like, you know what? You can be the desperate, fat, completely out of control, depressed, anxious, irritable person who's super sick. And then you can use things like keto and carnivore, and you can turn it around to where you become the successful YouTuber, recipe creator who can stand up for the other people that are just like you used to be. And that's what I really want my channel to be about, is people like that knowing they are not alone. And it doesn't
Yes.
matter if it's just you and me, that's fine, because I'll stand right there in the trenches with you. And if those people want to beat you up, great. I know what it's like to be beaten up for that. So I'll take the beating. You get yourself healthy. And then when you're healthy, you turn around and find somebody else who needs the same thing, and you go do it for them too. And so that's the thing. Like, I try to be kind and loving and professional, and I try to be like Jesus in those ways.
Mhm.
But every now and then I realize Jesus had to yell at the Pharisees because of the way they were acting, and he turned over the money tables in the temple.
Yes,
And
you
it's like,
did.
you know what? This is a money table moment, and this person needs to be flipped over and put in their place.
Right.
So,
I appreciated it. I commiserated with you. People say some of the most rude things. And I think maybe they don't care, or they don't know that when you say those kinds of things, in my mind, it just keeps going over and over and over. Like, wait a
yeah,
minute, why are they saying this? And it just keeps rolling around in my head. Like, what is wrong with this person? Why are they
yeah,
saying such a rude thing?
yeah,
Do I respond to them, or do I just block them?
yeah,
So I appreciated what you did, because it was just an example of how I just appreciate it. This is
mm,
an approach that you could take.
yeah,
Because it does
yeah,
hurt. I mean, it does hurt, because you're putting your life out here for
hmm,
people to see,
yeah,
and people are going to judge that. Some
hmm,
of them are going to judge it harshly,
yeah,
so and it's really unnecessary. I'm just like, scroll on. Scroll on. That's what this is
yes,
for. Just scroll
yes,
past. It's okay.
Yes.
You
yes,
don't have to stay on this page if you don't like
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely,
so I really did appreciate that. It was a little bit of a rant, but I definitely was there with you and
yeah,
commiserating with you on that. So
yeah,
thank you for giving that explanation.
of course.
I do want to know if you guys can sing.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could do a little something. Do you want to go grab a
Yeah.
guitar?
I'll leave real quick and I'll go grab a
Yeah.
guitar. Give me just a moment.
In the
Yeah, well,
meantime, I got a few more hellos that we can say.
mhm.
Uh, so Dustin from Keto Simple is here. Hey, Dustin, we're so glad that you're here.
Good
Good
to see you, Dustin.
evening. And also we have Maritza Garza.
Yeah.
Hi, Maritza. So happy that you stopped by and glad that you're here, able to be here with us tonight. Bruce Kuhn is here. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Bruce.
Happy that you're here. And then Maritza's saying, I just put the carnivore white bread in the oven. Sounds good. Sounds very good.
Awesome.
And let's see, do we have anybody else here? Karen Harrington loved the buttermail. Let's see. Barry Weems is here. Hey, Barry.
Hey, Barry.
Thank you for stopping by. We appreciate you. And then Pa Beater saying, I'm kind of surprised that Wes isn't here. Jay is here. Hey, Jay. Thank you for coming in. And then Barry says, Chris, I got your back any time of the week. What you're trying to do and what you are is so awesome. When Dr. Ken Berry recommended your channel, says something absolutely 100%.
I appreciate that.
Like I said, you deserve every good thing, literally. So SD Bradley 510, hi. I got to meet Scott and Amanda Carnivorous Me on the 23 low carb cruise. They are such wonderful people. It really got me angry to see how people treated her. Absolutely. It's just ridiculous. I mean, people, we are human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We are just people, you know, we're people who made a commitment to come out here and share something. We're trying to help inspire, trying to help people in the world to live a healthier, happier life, more abundant life, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, you know, we're still human beings and we still have feelings and all of those things. So
absolutely.
All right. So, anybody else new here? Sherry Reagan is here. Go, Chris, go. Right. 100%. And then Charlotte says, I appreciate you being your authentic selves. You're all amazing examples and inspire many. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Carnivore K is here. I'm just trying to get through all the new people.
Yeah.
Real quick. I think I did. Okay.
Awesome.
We're ready.
Great.
We're ready. Well, I guess maybe I'll
let him. Yeah.
You want me to start out?
Go for
something?
it.
Okay.
Go for it. So you may need to tune that.
Okay.
Cool. Anything in particular you think I should play, honey?
Oh, whatever.
Giving you the honor if there's something you want to play.
I don't know. Whatever you feel like. California?
Sure, I can do California.
Drag?
Yeah, I'll do California.
The most played song ever, the tuning song.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
You'd be amazed how many musicians should learn how to play it.
Yeah.
So this is not the first song I ever wrote for Ash, but I would say it's probably the most poignant song that I ever wrote. So Ash is from California. I come from a tiny town in southeast Indiana in the middle of the cornfields. I'd never been to California until after I met her. And I didn't know anything about California other than what you see in like, pop culture and movies and all these different kinds of places. And so I sat down with a buddy of mine and I was like, this is kind of how she makes me feel and what I think of California and the whole thing. And so we wrote this. So this is called California. This is all about her. She's a West Coast girl with the shades on, twisting and curving like State Route 1. She's a top-down drive around town, little surf rock, a little Bakersfield sound. She's like a stroll down Rodeo Drive. And 90210 kind of fine. She's famous as the Sunset Strip. She's cool like a mountain air. As beautiful as Marina Del Rey and worth more than you square. She shakes like an earthquake. She's a wildfire in my mind. She's a fine wine. She's a good time. She's sunshine. She's California. She's strong and proud like the Golden Gate, as laid back as the sand in the shade. She's a neon lit up LA night. She's a gold mine. She's a name in lights. She's like a stroll down Rodeo Drive. A 90210 kind of fine. She's famous as the Sunset Strip. She's cool like a mountain air. Beautiful as Marina Del Rey, and worth more than Union Square. She shakes me like an earthquake. She's a wildfire in my mind. She's a fine wine. She's a good time. She's sunshine. She's California. She walks in the room. She's the only one I see. She's my California dream. She's famous as the Sunset Strip. Cool like mountain air. As beautiful as Marina Del Rey, and worth more than Union Square. She shakes me like an earthquake. She's a wildfire in my mind. She's a fine wine. She's a good time. She's all mine. She's California. She's California. She's California.
Yay! So
Oh,
sweet.
so good.
So sweet.
Oh my gosh, I can see you over there blushing.
Yeah, that's me. You know, I think it's so funny. Chris is just so sweet, and he just writes so many wonderful love songs for me, and all the time I just blush. I'm just like, oh, he is. He's just a very sweet, compassionate human being. I think that comes through on his, channel a lot if you watch it. So, yeah, no wonder I married him. Exactly. Also, he cooks too. I mean, I married up.
That's right.
I married way up.
I say she married me for the food. Believe me, the songs came later.
It was the carnitas.
Ah,
Yeah, those
I love
carnitas.
carnitas.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was so good, Chris. Thank you so much for sharing that with
Of
us.
course, yeah. Thank you.
It's a bunch of commenting here. Oh, Jay wants a carnivore cubano.
Carnivore Cubano.
Ooh.
All right. Well, you know what? We were in Miami
Yeah, we were.
not too long ago because we went down there for the cruise right before I quit my job and had our honeymoon 3 years later.
Mhm.
And we were talking about, I've got a friend from Miami who is actually Cuban and know him from college. And we were talking about Cuban sandwiches. And so I'll have to definitely see what I can do about that.
All right. We'll be looking for that one too.
Yeah.
Renee wants an encore. Cooking and jamming. What else
That's
could
right.
we ask for? Somebody asked for cigarette. Couple people
yeah.
asked for cigarette. So I don't know if you guys have that one in your back pocket.
Well, that's my current single.
Current single and the music video just
Yeah.
came out. So how fitting would that be?
Yeah. Let's see here. Give me just a moment here. We'll tune up. And I have to say too, Robin, I don't know if you know this about Chris, but do you know that he is a video director and color corrector and all of it. He's done my past 2 music videos.
Wow.
So on top of being a chef, he's so humble. He's not going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you. I'm going to brag on him. But yeah, Chris, the song Cigarette is my current single. And we filmed a music video. Thank you. We filmed a music video for it, and Chris actually directed it. He filmed it. I mean, he did all of it. So that just came out on Friday. So yeah, yesterday.
Yeah.
So
I have to check that out.
yeah,
Is it up on YouTube, or where can we find it?
It sure is. It's on my YouTube channel, which is Ash Taylor Country.
So while she's tuning up, I will say too, if anyone is watching this on my channel, you can go to the description box down below. Carnivorous Grama is there. Please make sure to go like and subscribe to her channel because she does amazing things. I've also put Ash's YouTube channel down there as well, Ash Taylor Country. So both of those links are in the description box. And I know both of these lovely ladies would really appreciate a like and a subscribe and a share to help them out with their channels and all the things that they're passionate and talented about too.
Thanks, Chris. And if anybody's here from my channel, of course, you guys already know Chris. I'm sure you do. If you know me, you already know Chris. And go and subscribe to his channel as well. So that is awesome. Thank you very much. And I will make sure that Ash's link gets into the description box also on this video.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Wonderful. We can have the no guitar solo version of this here with Ash. But if you want to hear my guitar solo along with her, you can go listen to the original version on Spotify or go watch the music video and you'll hear my guitar parts in the background there too. So.
Yeah. I know it sounds terrible, but I've gotten so used to Chris playing every show with me, and he plays lead guitar for me. So usually, even if you come to an acoustic show, it's just Chris and I, and he just sits there and shreds away, and we just have so much fun. And I'm always so grateful that I get to, do music with my husband. I know not everyone gets to do that. So it's a good time though. Yeah. Yes, your solo will be missed. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all about the beautiful lady over here and her beautiful voice.
Oh, I don't know about that. Well, yeah. I think I'm ready then if you guys are, but thank you guys by the way for requesting Cigarette. Y'all are so sweet. They're great.
We have the best fans.
We really do though. I mean, genuinely, we really mean that. I mean, they have changed our lives. And I love the fact that like they've come from YouTube and the carnivore mashed potatoes. And I love you guys for loving Chris. And then you come over and you're like, oh, I like country music too. So it's, it's really great. But yeah, this is I'll play the clean version today.
Yeah, there we go.
Family friendly version today. But if you want to have a good chuckle and laugh, I won't say a bad word. But if you want to have a good chuckle and laugh, if you listen to the music video, you'll hear it and hopefully you'll smile. So yeah, it's a song called Cigarette. So. Everybody is losing their minds. Can't trust your neighbor. We're all told to pick a side. We're all human, but we're not always kind. And everybody's got their own way. I'm just gonna smoke another cigarette. Watch it all burn from my front porch. Rolling to the stones coming out of that old cassette. I've got no regrets cause life's too short. So while the world throws a fit, I'm just gonna sit and smoke another cigarette. Now some call me crazy, I just think they need to chill, take it easy and just let it roll. Cause you do what you can, cause you can't do it all. I ain't stressing when it's out of control. And everybody's got their own way. I'm just gonna smoke another cigarette. Watch it all burn from my front porch. Rolling to the stones coming out of that old cassette. I've got no regrets cause life's too short. So while the world throws a fit, I'm just gonna sit and smoke another cigarette. Light it up! just gonna smoke another cigarette, watch it all burn from my front porch. The stones coming out of that old cassette. I've got no regrets, 'cause life's too short. So while the world throws a fit, I'm just gonna sit and smoke another cigarette. Smoke another cigarette. Smoke another cigarette. Oh, yeah. Something like that.
Love it. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I feel like I got a special concert here tonight. So
Hey, just for
I
you.
appreciate you guys so much. Wow.
You're very welcome.
Well, so I always ask this question at the end of every live stream, and that is, if you could tell the people one thing, what would it be?
Ladies first.
One thing,
One
don't
thing.
give up.
Mm.
Don't give up. You make a mistake, you fall off the wagon, something happens, you get right back on it. You just wake up the next morning, you take a deep breath, and you just go right back doing to what you're supposed to do. I think that's the way with anything, whether it's your diet or a goal or dream or aspiration. I think that's just what you do, and I think that's how you become successful. I think that's how you reach goals. I think that's how you become a better version of yourself, is just don't give up. Get up every day and just keep going, keep trying, keep doing it until you succeed, right?
Yes. Love
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And for me, I think I would say you are valuable and you are worth it. I think the thing that held me back from so many things was feeling like I didn't have the value to be worth any of these things. I didn't invest in myself. I didn't take the time. I didn't put forth the effort, any of those things, because I just thought it was going to be a failure and I was a failure and all this kind of stuff. And all of that is such a horrible lie from that terrible inner voice inside your head that tells you all of these things that aren't true. And a lot of that is made worse by the junk that we eat and what it does to our brains and all this kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, remembering that you are worth it and you are valuable, and that entire focus of you being worth it and valuable is why my channel exists, because I know there's so many people out there that don't know that. And if you are watching this and you go, I'm not sure if I'm valuable, you're the person I'm talking to, because you are worth it and you are valuable. And that's why we love you so much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ash and Chris. I do want to pop this up. Carnivore in the Middle of a Forest just gave you guys a $20 super chat.
Oh, Jerry, you are amazing. Also, anyone who doesn't subscribe to Carnivore in the Middle of a Forest should go subscribe. She is a hoot and a character, and we love her so much. And she is just a great lady. And she's doing the same thing like what we do, where she just shares her real authentic self every day. And just like Robin here at Carnivorous Grama, like these are the real people in the community, folks. These are the ones that are helping to shoulder and carry the heavy weight that is moving keto and carnivore forward to help as many people as possible. So go subscribe to Jerry, Carnivore in the Middle of a Forest. Please go subscribe to Robin, Carnivorous Grama. Subscribe to this beautiful lady over here to help me keep everything going with her music career here. And just remember, you guys are valuable and we love you.
Yes, we do. And with that, we are going to wrap it up. I want to say thank you to everybody. If you're watching the replay, please go ahead and like and subscribe and, share this video. The concert at the end is definitely worth the money. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming out and being with us tonight. And thank you so much, Ash and Chris. And we will see you guys next time.
Thank you,
Bye,
Robin.
everybody.
Thank you.